and their grandmamas, his ass going to prison. If you goddamn keep it up, his ass going to prison.
He want to talk about some other like this being serious. This being serious. No, I'm being real. You lying. You lying. You up here flagging. You're cat. Don't be in this bitch. Wait till I come back in the market late night, and then it's just you, and I slap you up. Yeah. You trying to act off, son? Oh, like this in front of all your people. Say your mama, I said Happy Mother's Day. And then cheering in my face and shit. Like, what?
Stand by right here for me. 32, I'm 10 extend, 1 detain. Spread your legs slightly. I just need to pat you down.
When word spread that King Harris had been hit with a 5-year stretch, the whole internet low-key froze. For a minute, all the clowning and memes around his name went quiet, because this wasn't just King doing too much on live anymore. This was real time, real paperwork, real consequences. King has always been one of those celebrity kids who never really had the option to be low-key. Cameras were on him before he even knew what fame was, but as he got older, instead of just being the rapper's son, he started trying to prove he was his own man. Only problem? The lane he chose was loud, messy, and way too close to a lifestyle he didn't really grow up in, but kept trying to cosplay anyway. So when the talk of 5 years behind bars dropped, the whole story flipped instantly. Overnight, this went from jokes and trolling to something that felt heavy. Suddenly, people weren't just asking what King did, they were asking how T.I. was going to move now that everything he'd been warning his son about seemed like it was finally catching up. Because if there's one thing about T, he's built his grown man image around evolving from the street, not running back to them.
Yes, sir. There's one there. Does your buddy have one as well? No. Alright, just hang tight right here for me. Let me clear this. I don't want any accidental fires.
There's no safety. You gotta take.
There's no safety. Okay.
Well,
I'm not gonna mess around with that too much. You just set this down right here. Dude, step out for me. Yes, sir. Place your hands behind your back for me. Alright, right now you're just being detained. You're not under arrest.
Okay.
I'm gonna be at the church. Alright, I appreciate you being cool, man. We're just gonna take a look at this information, make sure it's valid.
I ain't feeling this.
Just take a step to the side for me.
And the crazy part, we'd already seen the warning signs in real time. That traffic stop clip where the cop smells something, sees the gun, clears it, and calmly says there's one in the head. King standing there saying, yes, sir, hands behind his back while the officer tells him he's just being detained for now, not under arrest yet. It didn't look like a music video. It didn't look like a skit. It looked like real life tightening up around him. T.I. wasn't shy about the fact that he'd lived that life, survived it, and didn't want to watch his son walk into the same trap. For years, he'd been warning King that the streets don't love anybody, that the image he was chasing comes with a bill at the end. And now with this sentence hanging over everything, it suddenly felt like that bill had come due. So when T.I. finally broke his silence, it didn't sound like a PR statement. It sounded like a father who'd been saying the same thing for years and now had to watch the consequences land exactly the way he said they would.
Think I ain't spoke to my son. Think I ain't told my son, his mama, and their grandmamas, his ass going to prison. If you goddamn keep that shit up, his ass going to prison. Ain't no way around it. Ain't nothing I'm gonna be able to do about it. Can't nobody stop it but him. You know what I mean? I've already had that conversation. I've already made my peace with it. Cause I know that energy. I was that energy. I know exactly how it's gonna take.
When T.I. finally sat down and spoke on King's situation, you could tell right away this wasn't shock. This was a man who'd been expecting this moment and praying it never came. He said he'd already talked to his son, already talked to King's mama and grandma, already told all of them that if King kept moving the way he was moving, prison was where it was headed. And the heaviest part, Tip admitted there would come a point where even he couldn't step in and save him. No phone call, no lawyer, no favor, just King and the choices he made. He didn't talk like a celebrity defending his brand. He talked like somebody who recognized himself in his son's worst decision. T.I. said he knew that energy because he was that energy once. That stubborn, I know everything, can't nobody tell me nothing attitude. And when you're locked into that mindset, sometimes the only thing that breaks it isn't a lecture, it's consequences.
So what I'm saying is,
They wasn't talk like that outside. Hey, I can talk how the fuck I want to wherever I'm at. I'm on live, shawty. Stop talking to me. Stop talking to me. This ain't your fucking restaurant. This ain't your fucking restaurant. Everything you make, I can pull out my pocket right now. I ain't tripping on you. I ain't tripping. Get the hell out of my face. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. Who the hell is he? What's your name? My name King. You know it and your mama know it. Tell your mama Happy Mother's Day. Tell your mama Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. File your shit. What? On game what? On game what? Come here. Come here. I'll show you what I do. Come here. I'll show you what I do. Come here. Come here.
He made it clear he'd already made peace with the fact that if King refused to listen, life was going to do what life does, but he also laid out everything he tried before it got here. Private talk, public reality check, showing King real examples of how fast the streets turn on you, putting him around people who were actually building something instead of throwing it away. At a certain point, though, King wasn't a little boy anymore. He was old enough to decide what image he wanted to chase and old enough to pay for it when it went left. That's what tore T.I. up the most. Not embarrassment, but knowing this whole situation didn't have to happen. Still, he drew a hard line between accountability and abandonment.
Treat mine like you treat yours.
Why y'all got so much time, bro? Why y'all always gotta have?
What is it like?
It's not a reason for that.
Well, in the manner in which you portraying in the lifestyle, it don't look legitimate, sir. But I'm not supporting no whore. I'm not supporting. I'm not. What kind of parents don't support their kids in little goddamn slide? Nigga ain't you popping. And then got your book there. So the square pull up and say, hey, who do you belong to? Who raised their hand? Somebody got to raise their hand. I've been seeing him around too here a lot. You gonna raise your own hand? I've been seeing him around too. Well, when you got it ain't your language, it ain't your I know that. When y'all got around those people, that's called it's not the possession of and commission of a crime, sir. That is a felony. Yeah. Thank you.
T.I. said he's not turning his back on his child. He doesn't agree with what King did. He doesn't pretend the system is wrong for having rules, but that's still his son. He's gonna stand beside him while he walks through this, even if he can't walk for him. 5 years, whether you look at it as a sentence, a stretch, or just the threat of it, is not a joke, especially for someone who's never really had to live outside the spotlight. And that's when people started connecting the dots. Because if you look back at King's most viral moments, the arguments, the attitude, the way he carried himself in public, it's clear this crash didn't come out of nowhere. The warning signs were all over the internet, way before anything hit a courtroom.
People hit me up like, King, I know you tired. You ain't get no sleep. And the truth be told, before this I ain't been getting no sleep. You know what I'm saying? I just been outside working, lifestyle. You know, lifestyle just life. You know what I'm saying? And, but now I'm damn sure not getting no sleep. This up every morning, and then around the morning time, he like to do that little live concert I be doing with him. And, he like to walk around the house.
All anybody had to do was rewind. The moment T.I.'s reaction hit the internet, people started digging up every wild clip they'd ever seen of King. And one of the first things that popped back up was that meltdown at the restaurant. King going back and forth with employees, cussing, bragging about who he is, telling people to tell their mama Happy Mother's Day in the most disrespectful way possible. He kept repeating his name like it was a badge, like just being King was supposed to mean something. To him, it was about ego. To everybody watching, it looked like a kid trying way too hard to act bigger than he really was.
Man, get out.
So I ain't know
Get
Tupac
out!
was an actor.
Get out!
I thought that was a lookalike Tupac.
What are you talking about? You never seen Juice?
Yeah, I did. I thought that was a lookalike Tupac.
What about when they say Tupac Shakur on the screen?
I ain't see that.
Come on, bro. What are you talking
I
about?
don't watch the credits.
How could you embarrass me like that?
In that one video, you could see the whole problem. He wasn't arguing over life or death stake. He was arguing over pride, over image, over proving he was on game in front of whoever was watching that live. And the internet fed it. People reposted it, laughed at it, turned it into memes and reaction content. Some clowned him for being corny. Others hyped him up like he was really living that off-the-chain lifestyle he talked about. Either way, the message he got from the crowd was simple. Acting out gets attention. So when the 5-year talk hit, those same clips took on a different tone. The jokes started to feel more like evidence. Fans brought up old arguments, old beefs, old interviews where he tried to paint himself as tougher, rougher, more street than his upbringing really was. Whether they liked King or not, most people agreed on one thing.
I'm saying kind of woo-saw yourself outside of the public opinion. Then I think, because I tell you what, I have the greatest, most extensive family photo album. I can document and I could go back to when King was Eris's age. I can go back to when Major was my granddaughter's age.
Something had been spiraling for a long time and everybody watched it play out like entertainment. That's when the conversation shifted from just King himself to something big. People started asking how much pressure celebrity kids actually deal with. What happens when you grow up famous? When the internet knows your name before you even know who you are? How easy is it to start performing for that audience, chasing that tough image, trying to prove you're real to strangers instead of protecting your future? King's situation stopped being just a scandal and started looking like a warning sign for a whole generation raised inside the spotlight. Pretty soon, King's whole situation stopped looking like just one kid messing up and turned into a bigger warning about a lot of young dudes trying to imitate a life they never really lived. Those body cam style moments and street interactions people kept reposting told the story. Cops asking him who he's with, who he belongs to, questioning the way he's standing, the way he's moving, saying the lifestyle he's projecting doesn't look legit. It's that tension between how you present yourself and what's actually on paper that kept following him around. King always wanted to stand on being real, but there's a point where the costume and the consequences start to blur. The streets stop being something you role play on Instagram and start being something that can land you in a cell. That's why people online started saying the same thing. This is what happens when you treat a dangerous image like a brand. Once the law gets involved, there's no unfollowing, no muting, no swipe away. And while the internet debated, T.I. was carrying something way heavier than likes and comments. He wasn't just dealing with strangers judging his parenting. He was dealing with the reality of watching his son FaceTime, the late night call, the constant worry. He even admitted people were hitting him up saying, "I know you tired. I know you ain't getting no sleep." And he laughed it off just enough to keep it real. He said he hadn't been sleeping even before all this, just out working, grinding, trying to keep life moving. Now, he really wasn't sleeping, waking up early every morning, dealing with King, dealing with Live, dealing with the weight of everything at once. Once the dust started to settle though, people stepped back and realized this wasn't an overnight crash. This was years in the making. King had been walking a thin line for a long time, bouncing between being an entertainer and acting like he was really locked into the streets. Folks joked that he was acting out a script, trying to be something he wasn't, but now nobody was laughing. That tough persona he built for the internet finally smacked into real-world limits, and the question shifted from what did he do to how did it get this far right in front of everybody? And that's where the story really starts to cut deeper, because behind all the viral clips and court talk is a bigger conflict between who King actually is, who he wants to be, and the legacy he was born into. Once the initial shock faded, people started really looking at how things got here, and a lot of fingers pointed straight at social media. Every time King went viral for something reckless, arguing in restaurants, talking wild on Live, getting into public drama, the internet turned it into a show. People reposted it, stitched it, reacted to it. What should have been red flags got treated like entertainment. King saw that and did what a lot of young people do. He turned controversy into content and clout into identity. The more chaos he gave them, the louder the crowd got. After a while, it stopped being a moment and became a character he felt like he had to play all the time. Even if he woke up one day wanting to chill, the internet expected the wild version of King, the one who'd say anything, do anything, and prove he was really like that. That's the trap. Once the audience falls in love with the chaos, calm starts to feel boring. And for someone who grew up around cameras, it's easy to forget that real life doesn't reset like a live stream. That's why T.I.'s approach hit so different. He didn't hop online and blame the blogs, the trolls, or the system. He talked about accountability. He said King made choices, and those choices brought real outcome. No shortcuts, no special treatment. He didn't pretend the courts were wrong for doing their job, even though he hated seeing his son in that position. Coming from a celebrity parent, that level of honesty stunned people who are used to seeing rich families shield their kids from everything. At one point, Tip even said you've got to woo-saw yourself outside of the public opinion, basically telling King and everybody watching that you can't live your entire life performing for what strangers think. He talked about having the most extensive family photo album, being able to go back and see his kids at every stage like a living timeline. To him, this wasn't just a case file. It was a story he'd watched from day one, and now it was at its darkest chapter. And underneath all the noise, one thing was becoming clear. This wasn't just about a legal situation. It was about a young man who'd spent so long proving himself to the internet that he lost track of who he actually was, and a father trying to pull him back before it was too late. That's where the identity struggle really comes in. King wasn't just some random kid acting out. He was the son of T.I. and Tiny, two people who built an image of a successful, powerful hip-hop family right in front of the world. Growing up in that kind of spotlight is a blessing and a burden. On one hand, you have access, opportunity, and a last name that opens doors. On the other, you're constantly compared to your parents, their legacy, their mistakes, their wins. You start feeling like you have to prove you're more than just somebody's child. King leaned into the one thing he thought would make him feel real, that street-leaning persona, talking like he came up in the trenches, insisting he wasn't really raised in comfort, saying he spent more time at his grandma's spot. That narrative made him feel like he had a story that didn't just belong to his dad. But the problem with chasing that image is that it comes with real-world gravity. The more he embraced it, the more he drifted away from what his parents were trying to build, generational stability instead of generational chaos. And once he started drifting, the people around him didn't exactly help. Some hyped him up because being around drama is exciting. Some used him for attention, clout, or proximity to his famous last name. Others just stood there and watched, saying nothing while the whole thing slowly spiraled. Then as soon as the talk of a 5-year sentence hit, a lot of those same voices went silent. No more fake laughs, no more cheering him on, just quiet. That's when people online noticed how lonely this kind of story really gets. When the cameras are rolling, everybody wants to be in the frame. When consequences show up, you're the only one standing there. That's what T.I. meant when he said King has to walk the path he created. Friends, followers, and fake supporters can't walk it with him. They can post, comment, speculate, but when the door closes, it's just King and the reality of what he's done. Some fans are hoping this is exactly what he needs. Time away, time to think, time to separate the persona from the person and figure out whether he wants to keep living for the internet or finally live for himself. Others aren't so sure and think he might double down on the image when he comes home, feeling like he needs to prove he's even tougher than before. Either way, everybody understands the same thing now. This is the most defining moment of his life so far. While the spotlight is on King, the fallout is hitting the entire Harris family. In a house that public, one person's sentence isn't just their problem, it becomes a storm everybody has to weather. Every move T.I. makes, every post tiny likes, every subtle comment or interview gets dissected and analyzed by millions of people trying to figure out how they really feel. It's like the whole family is on trial in the court of public opinion. For T.I., this chapter cuts deeper than a headline. He's been saying for years that no level of money, fame, or power can permanently shield your kids from the consequences of their choices. He warned King that the world doesn't bend just because of who your father is. Now he's being forced to live in that truth in front of everyone. You can see it in his tone. This isn't about image control. It's that specific kind of heartbreak every parent recognizes. Watching your child learn a lesson the hardest way possible. Tiny, on the other hand, doesn't always jump into the public chaos the way Tip does, but people know she's the emotional center of that family. Fans wonder how she's really holding up, what those private conversations look like, and how a mother copes with seeing her son go through something so severe. Behind every statement and every live stream is a house full of real emotion. Guilt, fear, anger, hope. None of that shows up in the comment section, but it's the heaviest part. At the same time, T.I. has to walk an insane tightrope. He's made it clear he's not going to shield King from accountability. He's not crying foul at the system, and he's not pretending King is some innocent angel, but he's also not abandoning him. He's standing in that uncomfortable middle ground of tough love and unconditional support, supporting the person without co-signing the behavior. That balance is hard for any parent, but doing it under constant scrutiny is something most people will never experience. And through all of this, the story stops being just about a famous kid messing up and shifts into a bigger question. What does real leadership inside a family look like when the whole world is watching you fail and heal at the same time? Now, the conversation has moved past what happened and locked in on what happens next. For the first time, King doesn't have the usual safety net. No viral live to hide behind, no restaurant arguments to turn into clip, no crowd to cheer him on. Just silence, stillness, time. The noise has finally stopped, and that's when reality gets the loudest. This is where the bluff gets called. King always talked like he was grown, like he was ready to stand on everything he said and did. Now he has to actually do it. No camera, no edit, just him figuring out who he really is without all the extra performance layered on top. Some people believe this will humble him, make him come back more focused, more grounded, ready to build something real instead of chasing an image. Others think the pressure might make him lean even harder into the persona, especially if he feels like he's got something to prove when he gets out. But that's the thing about Crossroads. You don't really know which way someone will go until they start walking. What everyone can agree on is that this moment will define everything that comes after. Not his father's legacy, not the family name, his legacy. Whether he becomes another cautionary tale or a story of turning it around is entirely on him now. People are also watching T.I. and Tiny closely, not out of pure gossip, but because this situation exposes the real side of fame most people never see. The part where money can't fix everything. The part where love doesn't cancel consequence. The part where even perfect celebrity families get hit with storms they can't control. So now the world is waiting, not for the next viral meltdown, but for the next move. Does King rebuild? Does he evolve? Does he finally step into an identity that isn't based on proving something to strangers? This next chapter will write itself over time, but one thing is clear already. However you feel about King Harris, this will go down as one of the most defining family moments in modern hip-hop culture. And if you want to stay locked in as it all unfolds, every update, every shift, every move from T.I., Tiny, and King, you already know what to do. Stay tuned, stay watching, and don't don't blink because this story is far from over.